Yo, Tom Fiddzy here. I am the Watcher watching Marvel's What If series, episode 1, Captain Carter. And this is my review and my thoughts. And I will start off by saying I'm a little bit disappointed that we never got a call of Captain Britain. Had the shield, had the suit, at the end had a sword, but not actually called Captain Britain, which is a little bit disappointing. Part of it is like, okay, that's kind of cool because Captain Britain in the comics is a very different character. But I was still kind of hoping for that because obviously when Steve Rogers took it, it was Captain America, and Carter takes it and she just becomes Captain Carter. But Captain Carter is still a really cool name. Maybe if we get like this kind of multiverse team up, then she can become Captain Britain. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I would love to hear that name said within the MCU, even though this is kind of like it's part of the MCU, but it's more kind of at the side. I still think some could leak over into the MCU. Maybe the Watcher could turn up. I think out of all of the ones so far looking at this series, the one that I feel like has the most potential to come over into the main MCU is Captain Carter. She's already traveling other dimensions and stuff by the end of this episode. So who knows? The episode itself, the series so far, not bad. Not a bad start. I'll be honest. I wasn't really looking forward to this series because, sometimes when you see they're going to make an animation of something, you're like, well, they're not really like throwing the live action money in this. So sometimes you feel like a little bit like, it's like the budget one, the one that they, even though animation that is hard, but it's the one that they don't want to spend the most amount of time on, So I was just like, okay, they're just gonna do like a little animated series. What is it gonna be, like filler? Because it's all like what if stuff, And normally with that what if, you're like, well, it's not connected to the main story, but thanks to Loki and the introduction of the multiverse and stuff, this can be very much part of the current MCU. It's not necessarily filler. It's not necessarily just a hypothetical anymore. This could generally be interesting stuff that could have ramifications at any point in the future of the MCU. So when we started getting into that stuff, I got a little bit intrigued. At the beginning, when the Watcher was doing his like little speech about how time and everything works, I was like, you're not going to mention the any of the stuff that just happened in Loki, because we know that before, if Peggy Carter had said, I'm going to stay in the room, Owen Wilson would have turned up, Mobius would have turned up and dragged her away, as we maybe saw in the first episode, as that Easter egg in the background. But that didn't happen. So, and the Watcher is talking about the fact that, these decisions cause all these multiverses and stuff with no mention of the TVA. So is this post TVA? Has he only just started watching since the post TVA? Was he watching before when everything was getting cut off? Does he know all of that stuff? Maybe we'll get into it. Maybe it's too early to know. Very interesting. I would want to know more about the situation of the Watcher. I'm sure we will. At the end of the episode, he was like, I must not intervene. Yeah, you are. You're clearly going to intervene when it gets to the end. You're gonna see something that's going on. And the theories are that there's going to be a multiverse what if Avengers team. So, we had the Nick Fury at the end, so that's kind of foreshadowing that building up towards an Avengers, So let's talk about the actual story then, the Captain Carter story. I thought it was really cool. The one decision, it was like she stays in the room, and then the explosion happens like before he goes in it. I was like, well, it feels like there was a little bit more than just that one decision. Was it just the fact that she noticed that caused the explosion to go off earlier? Because it looked like the guy didn't notice, but it doesn't matter. It's just, it's cool that it was the fact that like she stayed in the room, that one little moment. So I guess it doesn't really kind of matter too much as to how she got in the thing. When she got in the thing and she came out, that was really awesome. And I love the twist how they're like, they were like, Captain Steve Rogers, you're a failure, but we're going to parade you around as Captain America. But with Peggy Carter, because she's a woman, they're like, no, we can't like promote you as like this kind of war hero. So she's literally sidelined, but by being sidelined, that lets her be more involved in the war. And we got to see them get the Tesseract and stuff, and we got to see a lot more action with it. And I thought the action was incredible. The animation at the beginning, I was a little bit like, oh, I don't know if I like it. But when we got into the fight scenes and everything, it was great. Really fluid. I really like the fast nature of it, and like the quick cuts and everything. I really like the montage scene, especially the one with like the old music and stuff, where she was like jumping into airplanes and stuff. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really anime at times. Some of those soldiers had absolutely brutal deaths. But yeah, I thought the animation was great. I thought the lighting was fantastic. Sometimes maybe the face is a little bit rigid. Sometimes extremely expressive. Almost like kind of Disney 2D animation, like expressive at times. It was a weird mix between like kind of Disney 2D and anime at times. The action was like kind of anime. You even had those like kind of stills where she was punching people. It had like anime style backgrounds. I know it was kind of meant to be like comic book stuff. You almost expect like a pow, like a Batman little reference in there, but yeah, the animation was very solid. In particular, the lighting like really made it stand out at times. I do think the squid at the end, which question mark squid, we'll come back to that in a little bit, was probably like some of the worst looking animation in the show. I don't know, it looked a bit boxy, you know, it looked a bit polygony at times. But that was interesting, that thing. And Red Skull, before he was Red Skull, didn't quite really look like the character, you know, with the skull, yeah, but before, no, the caricature wasn't quite there. But everything else was really cool. I like Captain Carter's look. I like, you know, I like buff Peggy Carter. I like the look of the suit with the shield and everything. I liked how tall she was when she came out as well. I thought her character was really good. Development was really good. All of like the little callbacks to the actual film. You know, we saw the original Captain America. We saw lots of like little moments in there where you're like, we know what happens, but it plays out differently. I really like the one with Bucky, where it's like he's gonna fall off the train and he's like, you nearly ripped my arm out. It's like, that was a really cool twist. Then the fact that Steve Rogers was the one that fell off. Iron Man Steve Rogers as well, actually. Let's briefly talk about Iron Man Steve Rogers, the Iron Giant Steve Rogers. That was cool. Yes, it turns out that because obviously they managed to get the Tesseract and they managed to be a lot more involved in like the war, because Peggy didn't have to go off and do like all parading around, that they actually managed to have some time to build an Iron Man suit, which became really useful in the war. So I want to know how that universe works now going forward. Like, I'd like to stay in that universe to when Iron Man does exist. Because his dad invented Iron Man suit. So was he then manufacturing Iron Man suits throughout the rest of his life, as he's not just like normal missiles and stuff? So yeah, that's quite interesting as well. What does that mean for the future of Iron Man in that universe? Because Steve Rogers was the original Iron Man, even though it was called, what was he, like the Hydra Stomper or something like that? Not quite the same twist. They definitely had to rebrand that after the war. Yeah, it was cool seeing all of like the slightly different takes on all of the situations, because it was so fast paced as well. It didn't really drag any of it out. It made the whole thing very engaging, and it also made it like, now when you're calling back on it, it's like, wow, so much actually happened in this like one like 30-minute, probably more like 25 minus like the super long Disney Plus credits, but like so much happened in this one thing, you know. You really got a sense of basically the entire Captain America film in this one thing. So they did a really good job with that. They didn't really utilize Red Skull much at all. He just got crushed by the squid. And like really easily. He's meant to be like super strong, right? And he just gets crushed really easy, while everyone else they can hold on. Like Peggy can hold on. Steve Rogers in the Iron Man suit can hold on, but no, Red Skull just got crushed. So a little bit disappointing there, but I did love seeing Peggy Carter with the sword fighting the squid. Now let's talk about the squid. The squid. Was it Shuma-Gorath? I mean, it was green. So was it Shuma-Gorath? Was it meant to be on a Mars? We never saw the eye. But it had like a mouth. The Shuma-Gorath doesn't have a mouth, right? But still very interesting. Maybe that's something else from the comics. I'm guessing that Red Skull saw it. It was like, it's an octopus. We're like an octopus, you know, I like logo and stuff. Let's get that thing on our side. But interdimension, was it meant to be Shuma-Gorath? Who knows? Maybe it's going to be something that keeps popping up in all of these series or something, or was it just a one-off? Let's find out and see if it reappears at any point. But it could have been a little homage to Shuma-Gorath. It at least sets up the fact that there are interdimensional squid monsters out there that can grow to incredible sizes and seem to just want to devour worlds and stuff. So yeah, it definitely kind of sets that up. And yeah, overall, good, much better than I thought. Loads of like really good moments with Peggy Carter. Love seeing all the different twists on the characters, but I love the fact though that they still, Peggy and Steve still remain true to their characters. They were still falling in love. They still wanted their dance. They were still hitting the same beats. That was really cool. And I don't think there is much else to say. I think that they carried the, you know, what it's like for Peggy to be a woman in the Second World War, to have this power and not be able to use it, and like men's expectations of it, like, what, you can't do that, you're a dame. They kept saying, you're a dame, what's a dame doing here? I thought that was really good. I thought that was handled really well. She stayed very strong throughout it, which was really awesome. Never let that kind of get her down, and just kept fighting. It was great that Stark was just like, yeah, go on Peggy, get in there, I don't care. And obviously Steve believed as well, and Bucky and everything, so that was really, really cool. I think it's off to a much better start than I anticipated, so I'm generally now hyped for the rest of What Ifs. I can imagine that there might be some up and downs. Some of them might feel a little bit more filler-y. I mean, the zombie one, I'm like, is that one going to be like... Because I feel like this one could have implications going forward to the general MCU. Is the zombie one going to have the same thing, or is that just going to be more of like a little bit of filler fun? We'll find out as we go through the series, but good start so far, and I imagine it can only get better, especially if the Watcher does start to interfere and we start maybe getting some Loki multiverse stuff popping up towards the end. Definitely hyped to see Captain Carter again. Good stuff. Just next time, please say Captain Britain. Okay, bye.